You will never win.
Mortal Kombat X introduced an entire generation of new fighters, forcing some fan favourites and cult classics to sit the 10th instalment out. In the last week, series creative director Ed Boon polled fans on their most missed male and female characters. Boon offered 4 options for each gender, inspiring reactions based largely on hopes for more DLC in spite of the disc release of Mortal Kombat XL. Mortal Kombat Online asked fans their most missed Mortal Kombat 10 characters in a larger user poll, garnering overwhelming support for omitted absentee Fujin. What if there was a vote that didn't limit character options? What if every absent combatant was measured against the rest? The rankings have always been guarded a secret, until now. We've crunched the numbers and combed the data to assemble the fans' top 10 missing combatants. Number 10.
Nightwolf.
Deeper into his unique heritage as a Native American shaman, Deception established a darker edge for the character as a mohawked Sin Eater, before Mortal Kombat 2011 took him back to his origin, emphasizing neon green spirit weapons and a string connection to his ancestors and gods. 2011's alternative design visualized this version best with a striking wolfskin headdress and muted attire. The reboot timeline controversially inserted Nightwolf into the Shaolin tournament, but also gave him his most memorable role, an act of self-sacrifice that ended Sindel's slaughter of heroes during Outworld's invasion of Earthrealm. Mortal Kombat X picks up where the story of MK 2011 left off, with Nightwolf still dead, a revenant under the control of Quan Chi. He makes limited appearances in the story mode in this capacity. Several revenant characters made it into the playable list, complete with improbable new mortal designs, but Nightwolf was sadly not among them. When Kung Jin taking archery to the next level, and Shao Kahn making use of mystic beams of light, Nightwolf may need some new gimmicks if he is to regain his momentum as a future playable character. His prolonged status as a revenant leaves the door open to a darker reinvention in the mould of the Sin Eater. A literal wolfman is an obvious idea referenced in arcade endings, but a waste of a potential new character concept and too reminiscent of bad memories. Incorporating animalistic attacks with new shaman magic could be a new combo though, and with his traditional tomahawks, Nightwolf could be a compelling new pressure character. Considering his role in dispatching a couple of the characters featured later on this list, he also has built-in rivalries to revisit should NetherRealm staff choose to remember. Number 9. Baraka. A sometimes underrated classic, Baraka played an instrumental role in establishing the identity of Outworld's unique mythology in Mortal Kombat 2. Violent and savage with just a hint of recognisable humanity, Baraka remains one of the series' instantly indefinable icons thanks to his protruding arm blades and grotesque grin. Deception implied a turbulent relationship with Tarkatan hybrid Mileena, giving Mortal Kombat its own bizarre twist on the honeymooners. Like many ideas, his romantic notions remain largely unexplored, as do the kingly aspirations described in his Mortal Kombat 2 arcade ending. Because of this, Baraka sometimes gets lost in his role as a brute minion serving whichever boss has swayed the Tarkatan horde. Writing him off as just one of the many is always a gross disservice though. In Mortal Kombat X, Baraka was appropriately serving Mileena during her precarious reign as Empress of Outworld. He even made it into the game as a non-playable opponent through story mode and online invasions. Sadly, he died pointlessly mid-story, impounded in a fight with treacherous newcomer Devourer. Adding insult to the injury, he also appeared to be the vessel through which fighter guest Alien was born, grafting Tarkatan blades to the DNA of the movie Xenomorph. For better or worse, Mortal Kombat has long since given up on the idea of incorporating fatality into its fiction with any consequence. In this case, it's a positive, because Baraka is far too good a character to throw away. He may sit the next game out, but if he doesn't, little needs to change. MKX tweaked the design to incorporate the hodgepodge of Deception's armoured warrior, adding a few extra protrusions for good measure. If they wanted to incorporate the apparent death, this might be a good time to revisit Mortal Kombat Gold's solution of a Baraka stapled back together. As long as Baraka stands out from the Tarkatan pack and his classic blade attacks, it's all good. Number 8. Kabal. A design in search of a character, Kabal is one of the series' strangest fighters, slightly incoherent and arguably the victim of one retcon too many. Mortal Kombat 2011 revised his origins as a Black Dragon mercenary who went good, adding an additional backstory that made him a New York cop working alongside Stryker before Outworld's invasion. As in the original timeline, the reboot put Kabal on a path of light. He aided Earthrealm during the invasion before he flipped bad again when Sindel killed him, and he became a Revenant. That's where Mortal Kombat X finds him, still working for Quan Chi in a couple of FMV appearances during story mode. Looking somewhere between Freddy Krueger and a Tusken Raider, Kabal has an undeniable cool factor that makes him a cult favourite. How being horribly burned and hooked up to life support grants him super speedy dashes, circular blades that can be summoned out of the ground, and a nondescript purple blast is anybody's guess. The real appeal is his weapons of choice, the hook swords. If he ever makes a comeback, hook swords are what we want to see a whole lot more of. Given complaints about his player style being overpowered in MK 2011, this could be a good way to improve the character and refine gameplay. If the reboot era continues to repeat itself, it might be interesting to see Kabal's hook-sworded rivalry with Mavado play out. It also might be interesting to see him face off with a more successful creation, Erron Black. Number 7. Rain. It still seems like a bit of a weird joke that Rain didn't make the playable cut in Mortal Kombat X. He was presumed a sure thing when Mortal Kombat Online named him one of the top 10 returning combatants before the game was announced. With the game released, relevance only became more convincing. The long-time cult favourite became a legitimately compelling character when he was finally given a unique design and storyline in Armageddon. After being snubbed initially in Mortal Kombat 2011's reboot, retelling of the original trilogy that introduced him, Rain found his way into the complete edition of that game as a late downloadable content edition. 2011 tweaked his look to be more in keeping with the classic cowed ninjas, but retained his history as an Idian half-god intent on claiming power, perceived his birthright. Mortal Kombat X did feature Rain prominently throughout its story mode, even making him a non-playable character with solid new versions of the classic water-based attacks he had in MK 2011. Even his design harkened back to the princely ponytail look that really put him on the map. So what the heck happened? This time it was the less striking Tanya who turned into a paid DLC version of her story mode NPC. Prospects of a playable Rain evaporated soon afterwards. It seemed like a no-brainer to include Rain in MKX, so what his chances are for the next game are completely unpredictable. His prominent role in story mode left him free to chase power and glory in the aftermath of Mileena's death. Continued opposition to Kotal Kahn could be interesting, but Rain's design and attacks are good enough as they are. Audience interest may be divided, but strong enough to make him the 7th absent character on our list. Number 6. Shao Kahn. One of gaming's final boss legends, Shao Kahn is a character who casts a long shadow over the entire Mortal Kombat franchise. His menace was forecast by the original game, but he didn't stand atop the arcade tower until Mortal Kombat 2, when the true nature of Outworld became revealed in definitive detail. He returned for free versions of Mortal Kombat 3 before taking a 10-year break ended by GameCube versions of Deception. He was playable for the majority of the series' characters in Armageddon, a game we are told he won, prompting the alternative timeline reboot of Mortal Kombat 2011. The reboot gave NetherRealm an excuse to relive their greatest hits and Warner Bros. A chance to own a new version of history. The twisted retelling of the original trilogy ended with Shao Kahn obliterated by the Elder Gods. The toll taken by Earthrealm's heroes set up the events of Mortal Kombat X, and resurrecting Shao Kahn would be an awful, unnecessarily way to diminish that legacy. Kahn may rank 6th on our list based on several years of Supreme Tournament fan voting, but does so with a noted drop-off in support since the arrival of Mortal Kombat 10. The power vacuum created by his death gave Mortal Kombat X the compelling half of its story, elevating the importance of characters like Mileena, Kotal Kahn, Rain, Goro and Raiko, assuming you indulged the DC comics. Those who lived through Mortal Kombat 4 may remember the fun of rampant fan speculation over whether or not Shao Kahn had survived or adopted another identity. The thought of a vulnerable, playable Shao Kahn does have its appeal. We can't miss him if he's not gone away though. The Emperor is dead. Long live the Emperor. Number 5. Jade. Created in the tradition of Mortal Kombat's original secret character, Jade was the first witnessed by most fans peeking out from behind a tree with smoke in Mortal Kombat 2's Living Forest. She was the secret character behind the battle plan ? Accessible only through flawless defeating an opponent with kicks. When she returned in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, we learned the Green Palette's Swap was an Edenian assassin who served as Kitana's conflicted bodyguard. In that role she remained, serving as the princess's ally until she perished at the hands of Sindel in Mortal Kombat 2011. Jade ended Mortal Kombat 2011 as one of Quan Chi's revenants, but unlike the rest, she did not return in Mortal Kombat X. Instead, the weapon-wielding assassin was killed between games by unknown means, paid homage by Kitana with her mournful variation. She makes a brief spirit cameo in Kitana's arcade ending, but little has been made of Jade's true fate in any medium. Benefiting from a fiercely loyal cult following, Jade topped Ed Boon's poll of missing female characters, and always performs well in the Mortal Kombat Online Supreme Tournament vote. The mystery surrounding her disappearance invites a follow-up, but also speaks to the nature of the character. As Kitana's second with few memorable motivations, relationships of her own, she tends to be easily overlooked. Mortal Kombat 2011 boosted the character. Challenge is there to find ways to make the character more legitimately impactful. Number 4. Shang Tsung. Deeply rooted in the history of Mortal Kombat mythology, Shang Tsung has been there since the beginning, and undergone as many changes as the series itself. He began as a wizened old sorcerer, master of the Shaolin tournament, with the ability to conjure the ability and appearance of other fighters in the game. Morphing remained part of his arsenal throughout the 2D trilogy, until technical restrictions forced him to become a fully fleshed out combatant in Deadly Alliance. As one half of a playable terrible twosome of bosses with Quan Chi, Shang Tsung stepped up his legend when he finally killed Liu Kang in the opening of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, and found a new definitive form that combined his original robed sorcery with the youthful martial arts of later incarnations. By retreating the plot of the original trilogy, Mortal Kombat 2011 brought Shang Tsung back to his origins, reliving the corrupt Shaolin tournament and his fall from grace. In this timeline, Shao Kahn stripped him of his energy to increase the powers of Sindel, a smooth move that led to the decimation of Earthrealm's champions, and left Shang Tsung's fate uncertain. Many have assumed that Shang Tsung was killed in this scene, but his entire existence has always been predicted on the consumption of souls to maintain his youth and vigour, which was once taken from him. We like the idea that the sorcerer has been laying low, waiting for an opportunity to renew himself with fresh souls, something he does in Ermac's Mortal Kombat X ending. The idea of the soul creature Ermac as a living power source and one-man army for Shang Tsung is an intriguing concept that's long overdue. We'd love to see Shang Tsung return, perhaps even as a future boss if the aspirations of the Deadly Alliance are transposed to subserving Ermac in this timeline. Perhaps the pair could be juiced up by a Soulnado, giving us a whole new take on two old favourites. Number 3. Fujin. Quite possibly the most missed character of Mortal Kombat X, Fujin benefited from an organised effort by disappointed fans to controversially win last year's Supreme Mortal Kombat Champion title. He defeated Kenshi, a Deadly Alliance edition who was incorporated in Mortal Kombat 2011 as DLC, before successfully graduating to the main roster of MKX. It was the result that launched many arguments, but nobody can argue with the shock of Fujin's omission. The Wind God was introduced as a sub-boss in Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero, and playable hero of Mortal Kombat 4. The latter game was direct inspiration for the plot of Mortal Kombat X, which features Fujin prominently in his role as ally to Raiden and defender of Earthrealm. He battles the forces of the Netherrealm in a very memorable sequence, also taking a supportive role in the Mortal Kombat X prequel comic. A perfect storm of expectation that went unfulfilled and often unacknowledged creative director by Ed Boon. Snap a selfie with Cassie Cage in Mortal Kombat X and you might see a comment poking fun at the situation. Sadly, it's been a long time since Mortal Kombat has boosted truly hidden unlockable characters. In plotlines reminiscent of Armageddon, Raiden is left corrupted by his experiences in Mortal Kombat X. In the original timeline, this led Fujin to come to the fore as Earthrealm's defender. The next game could finally be the moment fans get their hands on a playable Fujin, fulfilling a prophecy foretold by arcade endings in Mortal Kombat 4. Number 2. Smoke. Like Fujin, Smoke made a lasting impression with his appearances during the Mortal Kombat X story mode. The character was controversial winner of the 2013 Supreme Mortal Kombat Champion Tournament, having gained a surge of popularity particularly with European fans after Mortal Kombat 2011. The reboot timeline rewrote the book of Lin Kuei Fighter, reintroducing him as Thomas Verbada, a Czech-born Japanese-style smoke yokai that was burned alive by a demon-worshipping cult. A bit of a mixed bag of references, his look arguably took a hit with the wacky whisper troll hair, and his story was unwritten by an arbitrary plot twist that turned Sub-Zero into a cyborg instead of him. Sub-Zero was unsurprisingly restored in the Mortal Kombat X comic, becoming a human revenant alongside a more tastefully redesigned Smoke. While Sub-Zero made it back to life and the playable list, Smoke had to sit it out, grimacing through his new status as an Inera to no meaningful end. This makes an indirect playable appearance though, Triborg, a Gestalt Lin Kuei cyborg, whose variations are based on Cyrax, Sector, Smoke and Cyber Sub-Zero. The new backstory generates friction with the reality of the character, but if the concept is to remain, it opens up a world of gameplay possibilities for a bizarre smoke monster entity beyond what we've already seen. That's enough reason to think the door is still open to Smoke, but like other Revenant characters, his future relevance depends on how serious progression from where it is. Aspects of this character now infringe on our number one missed fighter, whose history as a tandem would take a lot of stretching. Number 1. Noob Saibot. Beginning life as a simple jet black pellet swap for Scorpion in Mortal Kombat 2, Noob Saibot has spent the last decade growing in popularity and complexity. The character topped Ed Boon's recent poll of most missed male characters, clearly among the most popular Mortal Kombat 2011 characters, completely unreferenced in Mortal Kombat X. Appearances in Mortal Kombat Trilogy and MK4 grew intrigue around the mysterious warrior, described only as an agent of Shinnok, but it was Deception that finally delivered the character fully fleshed out Wraith we know today. By introducing the concept of Noob's true identity as Baihan, aka the Sub-Zero killed in the first Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat elevated the character, making beautiful music out of the coincidence of his introduction post Mortal Kombat. At the close of MK 2011, Noob Saibot had been tossed into a Soulnado by Nightwolf. In Deadly Alliance, we saw Noob's traditional nemesis Scorpion befall the same fate, emerging in the sequel as a purified chosen champion of the Elder Gods. See a Noob undergo a similar transformation with a radical new look could be an exciting way to refresh the character. The thought of a white-garbed Noob is so bizarre a contrast, it just might work. Certainly a more favourable option, the oft-teased return of some version of Sub-Zero with little brother Kung Lang back among the living in MKX and Frost still fighting for attention. We have more than enough masters of the Kori arts. Did your most missed Mortal Kombat X combator make the list? Remember, this top 10 was determined by several years worth of voting data registered by you, the community. Narrowly missing out on the countdown was Sindel, Serena, Kitano, Frost, Raiko and many more. You can help shape their future destiny by being on Mortal Kombat Online when we next ask who is the Supreme Mortal Kombat Champion. This is Pain X Killer, and I offer my thanks to the people at Mortal Kombat Online for allowing me to make a video out of this vote. Thank you once again, and check out their website, mortalkombatonline.com. Oh, and make sure to check out more of my videos as you're still hanging around. Thanks.